Your nightly news with Tom Johnson begins now.
Good evening. Labor has sensationally called on the government to extend the controversial eviction moratorium, which is poised to end in 2 weeks. It says battling tenants fear they'll be forced out onto the street, and a swelling public housing list has left them with no safety net.
After sitting on the fence for weeks, today Labor made its position clear.
Labor would be supportive of the moratorium on rent evictions and on rent increases being extended by another 2 months.
Throwing its support behind the divisive measures to assist tenants during the pandemic. No choice, it claims, because of the government's shoddy housing record.
With a social housing wait list that is increased, with shelters that are full and overflowing and turning people away, there is no safety net left for people.
The moratorium is due to end in a fortnight, but the government has all but ruled out extending it until March. Both Labor and the Greens are calling for a backflip to allay fears from panicked tenants.
This would bring Tasmania in line with the majority of other states.
The Housing Minister was today in the northwest, touring the latest builds in Latrobe.
Beautiful, energy efficient, secure, 2-bedroom units on flat ground.
The sector, however, remains on shaky ground. The number of Tasmanians on the public housing wait list has blown out to nearly 3,600. The average time on that list, 63 weeks.
There are some that have been on the Housing Tas wait list for some time.
Those people are waiting 64 weeks on couches, in garages, in caravans, in tents.
Roger Yenge is confident construction is keeping up with demand.
We're probably building about as much as we can right now.
Quick enough to fix what some call a housing crisis is the next question. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
Many business owners say they're feeling nervous about the upcoming end to JobKeeper after relying heavily on the stimulus during the pandemic. Local welfare services have also raised concerns for struggling Tasmanians, predicting more people will access help for the first time.
After closing for nearly 2 months during the height of COVID-19, JobKeeper has kept food on the table here at this bustling cafe.
Without it, we wouldn't be open. It was our saviour. It helped the staff through, so it was just been incredible.
Despite Three Little Ducks now booming once again, the owner says it's worrying the federal subsidy is ending in March.
There's not that extra money in the community around, so therefore you don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be the unknown.
Local charity groups also raising concerns over added pressure potentially set to hit Tasmanians.
The rate of unemployment is higher now than it was pre-COVID. So I think the winding back of probably both JobKeeper and JobSeeker is going to be a gradual process of seeing more people doing it tough.
What we're facing is the reality that that stuff might come back into play again, where people can't live and start to get themselves back into employment because they just can't afford to.
Also predicting another spike in people accessing essential services.
Unless the level of Newstart or now JobSeeker is kept at a reasonable level, we will see people returning to seek assistance again, whether that's for emergency relief, financial counselling or other forms of assistance, and we will see things like tenancies and health put back at risk.
While already preparing for more locals seeking help for the first time in their lives.
People who haven't been challenged by not having an income in the past, and in some ways are probably going to find it harder to manage with a reduced income because they possibly have never had to budget very carefully to make ends meet.
Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg previously saying he's confident further stimulus will not be needed. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
A 70-year-old man has been injured following a quad bike crash near Premedina on the Tasman Peninsula. Emergency services were called to the scene around 10:30 this morning. The man was flown to the Royal Hobart Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Meanwhile, a 61-year-old Northwest woman was also flown to Hobart after sustaining non-life-threatening injuries while kayaking on the Franklin River. Police say crews, as well as the Westpac rescue helicopter, responded to an EPIRB activation in the Great Ravine area yesterday afternoon. The woman was part of a kayaking group. After seeing a rush for pets in the pandemic, a Longford cat shelter says it's now facing its worst situation in years. A wave of unwanted felines surrendered to the organisation is leading to a desperate plea for help.
Last year gave animal shelters a much-needed reprieve. With Tasmanians at home, people turned to pets. It's a different story in 2021.
Now we've actually got surrenders, strays and kitten season has hit as well. So we're actually at full capacity at the moment and we have a waiting list of people wanting to surrender.
After the state's borders opened, Just Cats went from housing 17 felines to more than 200. The message to de-sex cats still goes ignored.
And that has been exacerbated by the fact that during COVID, a lot of the vets weren't actually doing routine de-sexing because they weren't permitted to.
The shelter says the state government could make life easier by rethinking one rule.
Potentially allowing people to have their cats in rental properties as well.
Watching wave after wave of unwanted animals takes its toll.
It's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking. But I mean, we work in this industry because we love animals, we're for animal welfare.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
In the current climate where dancing can be viewed as dangerous, an innovative art installation is giving punters a chance to boogie safely. The interactive and original audio-visual piece casts people onto a green screen across multiple locations, giving them the ability to dance with others virtually. The idea came about through COVID-19 and is part of this year's Mona Foma Festival.
Interactive music is when you write a soundtrack, but as people interact with the work physically, the music changes.
We're not breaking any restrictions if you're dancing on your own, but you're still getting to dance with other people.
The festival wraps up tonight before heading to Hobart next weekend.
Good evening. Launceston and Hobart reached a high of 19 today, 18 across Burnie and Devonport. 22 was the state's top at St Helens, Flinders Island, Smithton and Lowhead 18 and Strawn 15. On the close-up shows mid-level cloud over most of Tasmania with higher cloud around the eastern half of the state. Further out, mid to high level cloud covers parts of central Australia, while cloud associated with thunderstorms sits over the northern area of the country. Tomorrow shows a cold front crossing Tasmania in the afternoon, bringing strong and gusty southwesterly winds. West to southwesterly winds tomorrow 20 to 30 knots, swells up to 7 metres in the west and south and below 1 metre in the north. A severe weather warning for damaging winds is current for the Upper Derwent Valley, southeast, east coast, northwest coast, Midlands and parts of the Central Plateau. A gale warning for northern, eastern and southern coastal waters for west to southwesterly winds, and a strong wind warning for all remaining coastal waters, southeast inshore waters and the southwest lakes. Tomorrow's forecast now: Hobart windy with a possible shower, 19 across Dover and Ouse. In the north, partly cloudy about Launceston and Scottsdale, Devonport 19. Burnie and Stanley tomorrow cloud, becoming windy, 19 at Strawn. St Helens 25-23 at Swansea and Ross, partly cloudy. The UV forecast is extreme across the state. Looking ahead to Tuesday, fine apart from possible morning showers about the southeast coast. Wednesday, fine with light winds, and Thursday, light winds and afternoon sea breezes, becoming northwesterly in the afternoon. Capital cities 34 and partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow, sunny at Canberra and showers expected at Cairns. And currently Hobart cloudy and 20, Launceston 17 and Devonport 16. That's all for weather tonight, Tom.
Good to see some warmer weather coming our way. Thanks very much, Jackie. And that is all your news for this Sunday evening. Louise is back from tomorrow. A great evening to you. Good night.